Item number 3.
Item number 3, resolution establishing the Rainbow Honor Walk on Castro Street between 19th Street and Market Street, on Market Street between Castro and Noe Street, on 19th Street between Diamond Street and Castro Street, on 18th Street between Collingwood Street and Hartford Street, and initiating the process set forth in the Public Works Code, Section 789, to provide for the creation of a program for and installation of commemorative plaques on the Rainbow Honor Walk.
Thank you. I know that this is an item that's been brought forward to us by Supervisor Dufty. Supervisor Dufty, would you like to have a few opening remarks?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it's wonderful to be back at a committee that I've served on for many years during my tenure on the Board of Supervisors. I'm very excited about this project. It's had sort of 2 stages of origins. First, about 15 years ago, David Perry, who lives in the Castro community, very active, has his own public affairs firm, had approached me when I was a board aide here at the Board of Supervisors about the notion of creating an honor walk. And then more recently, within the past year, Isak Lindenauer, who is a business owner in the community and a stakeholder in the community, again raised the idea. I think it's an idea whose time has come because we've worked so hard in the Castro to open the LGBT Historical Society to have a museum exhibition space, which has been in the Castro for a year. It is closed, but I'm pleased to say that hopefully by summer we will be reopening in a site on 18th Street, which Walgreens was seeking to open an additional pharmacy space and was rejected by the Planning Commission, but Walgreens has come forward and is going to offer us a long-term lease for the Historical Society to have an exhibition. And I think what this speaks to is the importance of placemaking and understanding the history of the Castro, the history of the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community, and how linked it is to the Castro. And so I wanted to welcome, I know we do have representatives from the Department of Public Works. My great friend and outstanding colleague Nick Elsner is here, but I thought that we would start, if we could, with a presentation by Isak Lindenauer about this project. And I also want to acknowledge that the Castro Community Benefit District is here, and I'm so pleased to have been involved in the chartering of this CBD, which would be very, very involved. And Andrea Aiello is here representing the CBD, and Kathy Amendola is also here of the Cruising the Castro tours. Many people knew of the work that Trevor Haley did leading a tour of the Castro, and again, relating all the incredible history that is right there at your fingertips in the Castro, but that many, many people miss. And so I think that similar to the Barbary Coast Trail and other placemaking markers that exist to educate people about the life and times of neighborhoods of San Francisco, I think that this is an idea whose time has really come. And so with that, Isak, I'd welcome you to talk to us.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Dufty. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you to all the supervisors. Pretty much Supervisor Dufty has delineated the reasons and the nature of the walk. It's something, as a 30-year resident and merchant in the Castro, came to me about a year or so ago. I realized there was something I wanted to do for the community and as a means to give back for all that it's given me. And this idea crystallized in my mind, never knowing that it was something that had appeared before 15 years earlier with David Perry, who I asked to be my co-chair. I felt that it was real important to both celebrate and honor and to educate both people in the community who were young and didn't know gay history, as well as people who come to visit the Castro all the time, to celebrate our diversity and the richness of our culture, which for the most part, as a minority, we're a peculiar minority, we're invisible. And unless we go through the process of coming out, you don't have a real idea of knowing who we are. We cross all color lines, we cross age lines, sex lines, young and old, and for the most part, you really don't get a chance to see us as a people unless you're watching the Pride Parade, or you come to our neighborhood in Halloween. And we're a lot more than that. It's a culture that's rich and diverse, and by making it visible, by placing plaques on the sidewalk, we get a chance to make it clear to all sorts of people who come to the neighborhood, exactly who and how we are. People ask me, as I began to talk to different neighborhood groups, what the plaques would look like. And so I brought what I made as a model or a mock-up of what they might be. When I first realized I needed to come out, I kept thinking, wouldn't it be great if maybe just for 3 days, every gay person in the world turned purple? And if they did, then you'd really see how and who we are. Well, when I finally realized I had to move to the Castro in order to be free 30 years ago, Harvey was walking the streets then, and Harvey was every shade of purple. He was lilac and lavender and purple in the extreme, and he changed the world. Our neighborhood is unlike any other neighborhood, and it's come to be known all over the world for the freedom and diversity of our people. We're still struggling. We're a civil rights movement that started 60 years ago with Harry Hay and Phyllis Lyon and Del Martin, and still 60 years later, we're trying not to get special rights, but equal rights. We want the right to marry. If we can be blown up in the service of our country and give our lives, we want to be able to be who we are while we do that. So this is a way of educating both the little kids, many of whom suffer still, like I did when I was a kid, to be who I am. And in the midst of this, when I was presenting it to Mumsy, 2 little 11-year-old boys, taunted for who they were, wound up hanging themselves, one kind of symbolically, in the closet. We have to make the world a better place for the kids as well as for the adults. And hopefully, if you'll help this to become a reality, if somebody says, what does a gay person look like 30 years from now, they'll be able to say, just like everybody else.
Thank you so much, Isaac.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could invite up David Perry, who's the other leader, and I connected Isaac and David together when Isaac contacted me, remembering David's involvement years earlier in raising this issue. So welcome, David.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairwoman Chu, Supervisors Elburn, Avalos, Supervisor Dufty. I'd also like to give a shout out to Supervisor Campos, who's also been very helpful on this effort. 15 years ago, when this idea first came to me, it struck me that we needed a way to pay tribute to those people who had literally walked the walk and talked the talk. And the Rainbow Honor Walk, which Isaac has just so eloquently described, I believe does that. I want to stress to this committee and to all those who are listening that this is something for which we are not asking the city for any money. This is something which we see private fundraising taking care of. Obviously, we'll have to work closely with the city family and the Department of Public Works to install these after adequate vetting and public process to finalize not only the design of the plaques, but also those members of the LGBT communities who will be included on it. So I'm here today to offer my continuing support and to thank you for your help in moving this forward. Hopefully we will see a permanent memorial starting on the streets of Castro to members of the LGBT community and their heroes, something that will live on in the future and bring not only pride to our community, but also increased business and tourism. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to see if perhaps Nick Elsner, representing the city family and the Department of Public Works, might be willing to provide his perspective.
Yes, thank you, Supervisor Dufty. Good morning, Supervisor Chu, Supervisor Avalos, Supervisor Ellsburn, Nick Elsner with the Department of Public Works. Thank you for the kind words, by the way.
You deserve them and more.
Yes, looking forward to working with your office, Supervisor Dufty, on making this a reality. Just to let you know, I've personally handled all the other commemorative trails throughout San Francisco, including the Barbary Coast Trail, including the Bay Area Music Awards that are currently in front of the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium, California Culinary Academy. There's been a host of others. So look forward to working with your office and with David Perry and Isaac to make this a reality and get the plaques in. What I've experienced personally from just making all the plaques, it's really an exciting venture just to get your own perspective on the history of San Francisco. So look forward to working on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.